of Ennis All that created a my player in Madden so he could catch 300 catches or throw for 5,000 yards or have 30 sacks. So most of us, 99% of us, will never get the joy of being signed by somebody major. 99% of us will never see ourselves truly developed in Madden. 99% of us wouldn't even see ourselves in a Canadian Football League game. But if guys like Brandon Corker can do a mock draft and it get guys hyped, you know, hey, I would fit great on this team, then I'm all for it. If me putting out a bracket or me putting out an article or whatever can make guys feel the love of the game, the reason they're still playing to this day, I'm all for it. So before you decide to, hey, I think it was Al Raz. I'll put him on blast. Al Raz is a cool guy. I don't know who your jersey is. I'm just kidding. It's over here. Before Al Raz put people on blast for caring what other people thought of them, isn't that sports in general? Don't people get discouraged? Isn't Leonard Fournette pouting that he's not a 99 on Madden? Don't guys get upset when they're not all NBA or all NFL? Didn't the Greek Freak get upset when Skip Bayless said Joel Embiid was the best player in the East? So it doesn't matter if it's somebody not getting the proper love on Crosstalk or if it's somebody not getting the proper love on First Take. It's all the same. We're all playing the same game. So enjoy it. Enjoy it. We're only going to get to play this game for a limited amount of years. So let's just enjoy it. All right, moving on. Time to get started with the MSFA. It's always start. Playoff time. What's the format?
We got to know.
What are you doing? It's 6 teams. I've gotten that part. Are you doing 3 of the North and 3 of the South? Are you doing top 2 division winners, conference winners get a 1-2 seed, and then everyone else falls in line behind that? Everyone else's playoffs, all the other commissioners are hyping up the playoffs that are coming. Or if you're the GDFL, you're already in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to know. Another thing, another reason I need to know is because MSFA is starting to be like the BCFL and become Fold City. Has the Wolfpack folded? Is there confirmation of this? I heard they have. But then again, the players are still talking smack. Have they folded? Have they not? Titans. Y'all on Fold Watch. I don't care what you say. The owner's upset.
Had some coaches quit.
Did some coaches quit? If people are quitting,
I've heard that, yep.
Now there's trouble. Because if you don't have a place to play, don't have funds, now is not the time to be looking for a field. Now is not the time to see, hey, where are we going to pay these refs? That was 6-8 weeks ago. That was actually about 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Are they folding? Because, well, A, if the Wolfpack folded, you need to just go to 2 at the top and then the next 4. Because you've lost about everybody in the South. But if the Titans are out, I think you just merge it all into one. And if you want to give the Airborne, well, so on the South though, it's so hard to even. Everyone says, you know, the Airborne win all their games, they deserve to be that 2nd seed. Or if the Fury go 4-2, the Fury's only played like 3 games and lost 2 of them, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they're 4 and they're 2-2, whatever it may be. I don't know how much love you can give as far as winning the division goes. But I don't know what you're doing with the playoffs, and it's making it tough to even, it's making teams tough to plan where they may have to travel. Hopefully we find out more in the upcoming weeks. I guess everyone's off next week, and then there's some games. I think there's a game on August 4th. We all know what game that is. So I heard some new news today, Mike. Interesting news.
Breaking news or new news?
Just new news.
New news.
This is news that does not involve me.
Okay.
I was just nosy. I'm going to start this. I'm going to preface this by saying I mean no disrespect to any team. If this news is true, I actually like it. It's giving me hope for things that I do want to do. The things that this area needs. It does give me cause. It makes me pause. It gives me cause of concern. I heard, and maybe it had something to do with the Titans, I heard that the MSFA championship game is going to be at the turf field in Louisville or in Jeffersonville.
Oh,
Not Evansville, as so previously stated.
which
So-
is a very nice field.
It's a very nice field. Evansville's got a nice field too, but Jeffersonville's field's nice. I've played a lot of games there, been to a lot of games there.
hmm
My concern is there's some teams that are blacklisted from that field. So there's two potentials here. Number one, all things good. Owner of said team, these teams are aware. The guy who runs the field is aware that there's a chance that one of these teams could be on this field, and they make peace with it.
Are we referring to the Hurricanes?
We are referring to the Hurricanes.
Okay.
Just to be completely honest, as someone who has had a solid relationship with the guy that runs that field and the Parks Department and the city of Jeffersonville, there's 3 teams that are supposedly at one point are not allowed on that field. The River City Hurricanes, the Kentucky Extreme, and the Kings Comets. There's a really good chance one of those teams are going to be on that field. So like I said, either A, that piece has been made, and that's great. I love that because that means for the future of good games, championship games, bowl games, that those teams are allowed back on that field.
It may be RIP Flagey.
Could be. Well, I don't know. This field's a lot higher price than Flagey.
Yeah.
Then there's a second option. They're not aware that this is a possibility. That one gets a little flaky because what if they say, hey, I'm not going to allow this, they shut it down last minute. The MSFA already has a bad perception for being, let's face it, less than par with the rest of the leagues.
Yeah.
They're probably the worst league in the area, and it's just because of the time that everyone puts in it up at the top.
I mean, to be honest, we don't really know who the owner of the league is anymore.
Right, it's still debatable.
Yeah.
So I hope it's not the second. So I'm not even going to address that one. Let's go back to the first possibility that there's been conversation between the team's management and the field's management, and they're good. But that means you're probably on a short leash. That means the city of Louisville and semi-pro in this area is now on a short leash. Because a championship game comes high emotion. You put
last
that
year
on
there was
a
a fight.
field, and if it's not properly done, now I know I spoke about running a bowl game, but I'm very aware how easy it is to lose that field, and I would properly prepare. If the league does not properly prepare, and this goes south, it doesn't even have to involve the Canes. It can involve the Titans Spartans. It can involve the Spartans Airborne. It can involve the Titans Airborne. It can involve any of these other teams. It can involve the Colts. If things go ugly, the city of Louisville and the 502 and the Kentuckiana and whatever you want to call it, Louisville Metro, are kind of hurting when it comes to semi-pro. Because let's be real, there's going to be more teams come in here than the Cavs and the Canes. And are we all going to play at Flagey? The high schools shut you down quick. Parks shut you down quick. The turf field, they don't maintain Thomas Jefferson Elementary enough to do it. You're not allowed on Silver Street anymore. Semi-pro has been kicked off, shut down. All we got's the turf field, Worley, whatever it's called. That's all we got. If this goes south, we're hurt. But moving on.
Well, let's just hope for the sake of the league, sake of these teams, that a replay of last year doesn't happen, and semi-pro in this area gains that reputation back, and then they can start playing on these nice fields again. But
hey, I'm all for it. So recap what we got last week. One of the shockers, well, I can't say it's a shocker. One of the things that surprised a lot of people, the Canes won 12-0 over the Cavs. This is not your old Cavs team. This is a Cavs team that is stout on defense. Perhaps there's some confusion. I heard there's some confusion on the Canes offense. Who's going to call the play? Who's going to put the right bodies in? Who's going to make sure that we're in the best position to win if you're a Canes? The Cavs offense, I still believe, is pretty much non-existent against a legitimate defense.
Mm-hmm.
You might go put 30 up against the Colts, but I think in 2 games you've put up 8 points. Or the offense, I think one was a safety. The offense have put up 6 points. So that's about 3 points a game. That's not going to get it done. In other news, and another recap, the Kentucky Spartans, in a somewhat of a game against the Northern Kentucky Colts, won 66-0. That was one of the more interesting things I'd seen. I had been there And I'm kind of glad I had, because the refs were kind of cool about it. And the whole thing was it was an interesting game. They played 10 on 10, no special teams. They called the whistle extremely early. The Spartans did what they wanted. Spartans threw when they wanted, on who they wanted. I spent the whole last week pretty much politicking that the Spartans stole the ball and go for 80. Now, the running clock prevented that, and they just called the game early. The coach showed heart.
Lots of heart.
But, man, when you got a guy that weighs 120 playing tackle, when you got a guy that didn't know how to line up at wide receiver, I literally witnessed this conversation. The ref asked the player, "Are you on the line?" He said yes. The ref said, "Well, I need you on the line." And he just kept responding yes. And the ref was like, "Move here," and he kind of shuffled up remotely close, and the ref let it go. I don't know what their future is, but props to them for showing heart. Every one of them played every position, whether they needed to or not. Shocker of the season. Nah, maybe not the season. We'll go for the season.
No.
The Titans talk so much smack and then lose to the Airborne 19-12. I don't know what happened. What happened to you, Titans? You got mad. We're supposed to promote you. You beat the Spartans. I called it. I thought it would happen, but I didn't call this. I thought you could at least beat the Airborne at home. I said you I was going to win by 8. You lost by 7. Really bumming me out. And now you're going through this? How are these connected? I know obviously a loss equals to negative publicity, but like no one even called you out on it. No one heard anything. That night we didn't know who won. And then the next day, you're falling apart.
I believe it was reported that the Airborne forfeited that game, like it was first reported.
I never heard that one.
So somebody posted it on the boards. Like, I don't know.
Speaking of forfeits, though, MSFA sure got them. Fury take a forfeit over the Rampage. Wolfpack got a forfeit win over the Stallions. Unless they forfeited, and then it's forfeit versus forfeit. What happens? Now, I always give it to the team that lasted the longest. The Stallions folded way early, and the Wolfpack, to my knowledge, are still a team, but the rumors are that they're not. If that's the case, they lasted a lot longer than the Stallions did. So, I mean, that's all I can say. After that, the rankings for the MSFA, going to go through them. Guys, we put our rankings on YouTube. Check them out. Find your people. See what you can do. We're just trying to hype up the show, hype up the love. But for those who watch them, we're going to dive in a little bit. At number 10 in the MSFA, you got the Kentucky Stallions. They folded at the beginning of the season. At number 9, Tennessee Rampage. They was a good organization. They folded too. Number 8, the Kentucky Colts, Northern Kentucky Colts. Has a lot of hearts. It's probably the worst team I've ever seen. Dead serious, in semi-pro. They would lose to the Reapers. They would lose to the old Night Owl teams. They'd probably lose pretty bad to those old Night Owl teams. No true at any position. 42 was the only one running around doing anything. At number 7, the Clarksville Wolfpack. Have they folded? If not, they're in the playoffs, depending on the format. But I don't think they truly deserve to be in the playoffs. They had to take a forfeit because they didn't have refs. Number 6, the Tennessee Fury. Man, they've been on vacation, haven't they? I don't know. They played 3 or 4 games all season. That's why I like some of these other leagues. These other leagues venture out. The Dukes. I clown on the Dukes all the time. They had a forfeit win, went out and played somebody. Number 5, Tri-State Titans. Had them drop. You lose that, you're on the bridge of folding. I can't trust you anymore. You promoted this offense all season. I haven't seen nothing. Kentuckiana Calvary, number 4. Hey, and the crazy thing is, depending on the playoff picture, y'all could still be out. But I'm fighting for you, because if they go this other route, you're in. You could shock some people. You're not going to be blown out. I just don't know where the points are coming from. Number 3, the Clarksville Airborne. Big win. Have they found their offense? They got an easy path to the South, easy path to a bye week. Appears they're going to be the number 2 seed in all this. Number 2, the Kentucky Spartans. They got a top-notch passing game. They got some of the best receivers I've seen. Evan Harvey stands untouched against any team I've seen him play. But I don't know how their front 7's going to hold up. If they get ran on, if they get a good, tough run game with some good, strong linemen, I got concern. They got one of the best secondaries around. If you let them pick you off, it's gone. But I got my concerns on that front seven.
I guess that August 8th game, 4th game will.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
And speaking of that, number 1, that's River City Hurricanes. They're fighting for that North title. The North title. The only game that matters is August 4th. They're, in my opinion, they're going to be the 1 seed or the 3 seed, depending on how it works out. They got by far the best defense in the league. My only question is, you got the weapons. Are you going to be able to translate those into points? They got some mean running backs. They got the Britton brothers. They got Banks. They got Rico Neal. Corker can get it done at quarterback if they've got a great line.
Big
They
line.
just got to get it together. T-Way at receiver, Daz Morris at receiver, Youngblood at tight end. And that I ain't even talk about all that defense. We'll talk about more as playoff comes. I didn't know what they're doing. I have no clue what the league is doing when it comes to that. What's being said over there? Anything about the MSFA being said in chat?
Yeah, I believe Joe Elder did.
Birdman.
They did say that they are allowed to play at Jeffersonville Field.
Okay, that's great.
They're not blackballed from there.
Okay, that's great.
Other than that, Airborne is not that weak, but
Still don't see you can win it, but hey,
we'll see in playoffs.
And it just holds true. The 2 games against the Spartans and the Canes really weren't that close for the Airborne.
Yeah.
All right, pick'ems for this week. We got the number 8 Colts taking on the Titans. If it's a game, if the Titans don't fold, if the Titans can get a field, because the Colts are going to show up with 8 and still want to play. But if it happens, Titans 38, Colts nothing. River City Hurricanes at Tennessee Fury. If the Canes have a kryptonite, it would be traveling. This is a Fury team that hasn't done anything, and they struggle to get the ball in the air. You're not going to be able to run on this team. But I don't know where's them Canes points coming from. This could be an upset. They could score late. Canes 18, Fury 6. Rematch of a really good game we watched just a couple weeks ago. Kentucky Indian Cavalry at the Kentucky Spartans. Cavalry played them close. This time Cavalry's on the road. How well do they travel? It's not that bad of a trip, but how well do you travel? Do you get the same numbers? Or do you leave some of the cancers that held you back before, you leave them behind and you come with a good core? Evan's back. And that's I'm with the Canes the Cavs are a cheaper version of the Canes. If the Canes are Mountain Dew, the Cavs are Mountain Lightning. If the Canes are Dr. Pepper, the Cavs are Mr. Pibb. But I don't see they'll be able to stop this. Spartans 28, Cavs 6.
And just to jump in on that topic, I have heard that the Cavs have cut out some of their cancer. They've cut 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in the last 2-3 weeks.
Just like when you cut anything else in any manner of speaking, if you don't cut enough, it's going to come back.
Yeah.
If you cut too much, you hinder what you actually have. So make sure you cut the right amount. Clarksville Airborne going to get a forfeit win against the Tennessee Rampage. I guess that's it for their regular season. And then I'm not sure what's going to go on. I got the Stallions Wolfpack. If the Wolfpack don't fold or haven't folded, they'll get another forfeit win. Anything on the MSA before we bounce on?
Nothing I can see.
All right, good
move
stuff.
on.
BCFL. Got a pretty clear picture of what's going on with them. We're down to 6 teams. Top 2 teams get a bye. Question you got to have, merger. Can it happen? Is it happening? You got the Saints and the Gators wanting to become one. From my understanding, the BCFL does not have a pity rule. It does not have a rule, from my understanding, that if your team is this horrible, you can add players at this time. No. And I don't think there should be. If you went into battle, I went and watched the Saints first time they ever did anything outside. Actually, I watched them do 2 things. I watched them play you and Mike with the Rough Riders, and then I watched them play the Cavs. I wasn't that impressed. And I felt like that was the height of their potential. I feel like they've done nothing but go downhill. If you can't maintain now, you got to ride through what you got. You can't just combine, because the term merger means one or 2 things. Either they're going to merge with you and you're still going to be the Saints, but you got players, and I don't think the league's allowing that, or you merge and create a new team, and you can't introduce a new team mid-season.
Yeah, and I believe the roster was locked 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago.
Nah,
But
so depending on who you ask, they will let other people in.
Okay.
But I've not seen that. But what they might let 1 or 2 people slither in. But what they're not going to let anything happen is 20 people or 15 people go from another team to another team. Okay, but now, with that being said, if the Titans and the Wolfpack are out, that only leaves 6 teams in the MSFA. That means the Colts will make the playoffs. Do these Gator guys make the trips to the Colts?
ooh, doubt it.
I mean, why not? It's either that or nothing.
Yeah.
Upsets for the playoffs, though. So I got to thinking, though. If there is no rule against this, or if there was a rule in place that would allow this to happen and now it's disappeared, which is what some of the rumors are. The rumors are that there was a rule that they could do this, that this merger could happen, but all of a sudden the fire's been put out. Look no further. I got your reason it's been put out. The way the bracket's set up, the Titans or the Saints, Gators, the Satyrs, whatever you want to call them, would be the 6th seed. They would play the 3 seed in the playoffs. Due to division titles, the 3 seed would be the Cincinnati Dukes. Now, I like the Dukes. I like what they do, but the Gators have played them close. Historically, that's been a decent little rivalry. Could you possibly see an upset brewing there with a tri-state Saint Gators combining to play the Dukes? Wouldn't really be a road game. They're both really from the Cincinnati area. Is that potentially something that could have had this snuffed out?
Let me ask you a question. The commissioner owns the Dukes, right?
That he does.
So we talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago about a team owner owning the league as well. Do you think he is putting bias in that vote there?
I've talked to the commissioner on several times for the last couple of years. I don't think so. I don't think he's intentionally trying to shut this show down. But I don't think he's in any hurry. I don't think he's in any willingness to help. Like, if there was no rule being said, I don't think he's going to create a rule to put himself at a disadvantage. So I'm not saying that he's up to anything tricky. I just say don't expect him to get you to get any favors because you are going to be the team that he faces. Yeah. And I think he wants to face, just like any team probably would in the first round of the playoffs, the easiest route they can, whether it be a bye week or whether it be a forfeit or whether it be a bad team. So we're going to dive in and recap BCFL last week. Cincinnati Dukes, speaking of which, get a forfeit win over the Lightning. The King Comets get a forfeit win over the Kentucky Colonels. The West Portsmouth Tanks get a forfeit win over the Piranhas. The Tri-State Saints, speaking of the devil, get a forfeit win over the Cincinnati Gators. The only actual league game happened, and I usually try to just sit back and watch. But we made the list last week, Mike. We talked about the 5 teams that I feel demand respect that haven't quite earned it. And the top 2 or 3 at the time were really far away from the rest of the league when it comes to guys who demand respect. You will respect me and my organization, and the teams that have actually just came out there and showed. Like example, the Crusaders. I used to, when the league first started and I knew nothing of what the Crusaders would be this year, I had them 7th place. They demanded respect.
Yep.
And then they went out and took it. The Columbus Gladiators. Y'all been demanding respect and throwing me with excuses. Here's what I've seen since you guys started demanding respect from me. You went on the Dukes and you barely won. Okay, the Dukes seemed to be a little better than I thought. But still, I said, hey, I don't think you can travel well. That's not a problem, they said. They traveled with 15 to the West Virginia Lightning. They won. I said, hey, I'm concerned about this travel. That's not a problem, they said. We'll show you when we beat the Tanks. And then you had the Tanks beat. 38-0 or 38-6, if I'm not mistaken. You lost. You lost pretty bad to the Tanks. Then we're not going to lose anymore. We're going to upset you. We're going to show you. We're going to prove Cross Sports Network wrong. We're going to beat the Crusaders, and we're going to beat the Comets. And you'll have to eat your words. I'm not eating nothing, son. Y'all lost 44-14 at half. You are on pace to get beat 88-28. That is a bad. I went and seen the Harlem Globetrotters play the Washington Generals, and it wasn't that bad. Where am I going now? What am I doing for you now? And apparently there was bad calls that was supposed to go. Something upset somebody, and then somebody threatened to go get a gun. Which, can we knock it off?
Please.
Please. But 44-14. I told them. I told you two things. When you were winning, but you were traveling light. You can't win the league traveling light. All I got told was we put one leg at a time. It's football. Only play 11 men at a time.
What's happened since then?
And then I said, when you lost to the Saints, when you lost to the Tanks, when the Tanks came back and you choked, that took your soul. Your season's over. Join everyone else over here and fold. Enjoy the rest of your summer. They told me, no, we're going to prove you wrong. We're going to beat the Tanks, or we're going to beat the Crusaders, and we're going to beat the Comets. Man, if I've ever seen a team look done, 44-14 at half.
So, fun fact, they've been outscored 97-20 in a game and a half.
97-20 in 6 quarters. And this isn't like you stepped out to play the Middle Tennessee Bulldogs. These are teams you're going to have to beat to win. And the way it's looking, you're not even going to make the championship game. You may not even make it out of the first round the way it's looking, because more than likely they're going to play the Comets, and whoever wins that game will be the host. You got to travel. And right now you're not. And you got to hold it together. And right now you're not. And you're too busy worried telling me about how I'm wrong and how I hate the city of Columbus. I know nothing of the city. Never been. I just found out today it's kind of in the center of Ohio. I thought it was far west.
Yeah.
What do I know?
Well, why don't you get out in the city and practice some football and get better?
Apparently. Or, hey, we appreciate you watching Crosstalk, but maybe travel to a game every once in a while. I feel like I've been to as many Gladiator games as some of the players. All right. Where are we at? Rankings for the BCFL. Number 10, Louisville Piranhas. They've been folded all season. Number 9, the Kentucky Colonels. They played one game, got a fold win, or a forfeit win, then they folded. West Virginia Lightning. They had us going for a little while, then they folded. Number 7, Cincinnati Gators. You were there, then you folded. Number 6, Tri-State Saints. They're struggling with depth. They're trying to pull everything in. Can they do something to upset the Dukes?
No.
I don't know. 6th seed. Number 5, the Columbus Gladiators. Look, you're lucky here. You're lucky that there's nobody that's even remotely above the Saints, or I'd have to put you below them. But I still think you can beat the Saints.
Not if they get the Gators players.
Fair enough. Number 4, Cincinnati Dukes. I like you. I still think you're mediocrity. I still think you're run-of-the-mill, never going to blow anybody out by too bad, never going to get blown out by too bad. Still number 4. Number 3, King Comets. When y'all left and y'all lost, I said, let's just watch. I bet you'll come back. I bet when time settles, when the dust settles, there will be some good players in that Comets organization and in the Comet uniform. I'm looking right. Number 2,
right.
Marion County Crusaders. I just got you here. I don't know. Just because that Tanks game was so close. I think they're going to be the number 2 seed. I still think they're the most complete team in the league. And number 1 is the West Portsmouth Tanks. They just got history. They're coming together. I think a lot of those guys know how to win. I think it's going to make a good championship game. The first couple rounds, I think it's going to be Snorefest. But when we get into the playoffs, man, I think it's going to be good stuff.
Have we confirmed where the championship game's at? It is going to be at the East Field, or
sure. I don't know.
That...
I mean, you got 3 divisions. You wrote. I mean, I don't know what they're cooking up over there.
Yeah, they said they rotate between East and West, but what about the North?
Pick'ems. Marion County Crusaders at the Cincinnati Gators. Crusaders will be given a forfeit win. King Comets at the Columbus Gladiators. It's your chance. It's at you. You don't have to travel. You don't have to go nowhere. This 4th and 5th seeds are on the line. This is a rematch of what the playoffs are going to look like next week. You win, you're the 4 seed. You lose, you're the 5 seed. It's the only thing. Both teams are now heading in the opposite direction. The Glads are dropping like a bad stock. and the Comets are rising like they know what it takes to be here. I think it starts off close, but I think the Comets pull away really quick, really fast at the end. Comets 40, Glad 16. Colonels at the Tanks. Tanks will be awarded a forfeit win. Tri-State Saints at the Cincinnati Dukes. Another little playoff preview. I'm telling you, this is going to be that 6-3 matchup. Saints, they had some time off. They think they're going to try to play the Spartans in a couple weeks. The Dukes, though, they're running hot. Like I said, I still think they're a middle-of-the-road team, run-of-the-mill. But they're playing with some momentum. I got Dukes 42-8. So, guys, before we move on out of the BCFL, I got a couple questions. Are the Tanks doing anything this week? Or whoever else is are the Crusaders doing anything this week? You got some time off. We're just going to sit back and enjoy that forfeit win. Hey, both teams deserve it. I'm not going to sit here and gripe on either one of those teams. The Crusaders went to Canton and got a big win, and the Tanks battled West Virginia and got a win. That's the score I'm about to talk about here in a second. Just curious to see. All right, some of the quote-unquote national games, if you will, outside of the league. Tanks played the West Virginia Storm, won 26-7. Storm struck early. Tanks rolled 26 straight points. Backup quarterback for the Tanks threw for 3 touchdowns.
Nice.
I was putting the Tanks' success on their offense on Job Swords. What could he do? Backup came in, threw for 3 touchdowns. This next one, y'all called it. The fans who stayed late last Wednesday called it. Cincinnati Dukes took on the Columbus War Eagles. Everybody asked me, what if the Dukes beat the War Eagles? The War Eagles were like my foster child. I felt like I hopped on that bandwagon early. Everybody said, get off that bandwagon. They're horrible. They played pretty good. Both teams came out hot coming into this. Both teams scored early, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was 13-12. I think the Eagles had a couple of defensive touchdowns. I know they had a pick 6 early on. But the Dukes kicked in gear in the second half. I heard they opened up a heck of a ground game.
Sometimes I wonder if the Dukes just got to get popped in the mouth and then they wake up and then they start to play.
Well, I think the Dukes are your typical semi-pro team.
Yeah.
Pretty stout defense, a lot of speed on offense, but if they get down, I don't know if they have a passing game.
Yeah.
I know they did pass for 1 touchdown, but I think it came after a rushing touchdown or maybe 2 rushing touchdowns. King Comets at the Butler County Broncos. Oh, no, other way around. Butler County Broncos at the King Comets. Broncos jumped out to a 10-0 lead. Said, hey, I got this. Comets came back 120-10. That right there tells me a lot. I really like Butler County. I like the Broncos. But I think the Comets are back. This is not the same team that lost to the Dukes. And I know this ain't the same Dukes team that barely beat them 6-0, or maybe this is when they started that turnaround. But this ain't that same Comets team. I got a lot of faith in those. So
speaking of the Comets, I did see in the comments that they only have 3 players from last year on the team currently.
Who's that? The Comets?
Yeah, the Comets.
So did everyone else go to the Chiefs?
That I don't know, but I just saw a comment saying that they only have 3 players from last season on their team currently.
That's still impressive. That is a strong organization. Like I said, they come in. I didn't know anything about them when they came to the MSFA. They won the MSFA. Then they went to the OFL. You didn't really hear much about them. They won the OFL. I'm just wondering, can they win the BCFL? I think it's a long shot with them being behind the Tanks and the Crusaders. Be interesting.
Just out of curiosity, BCFL has played a lot of PAFL teams.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Do we happen to have like a rankings against them? Like, are they 4-2? Like I feel like we should definitely kind of weigh that in.
I don't know how many times. I can't think of too many times the PAFL has beat the BCFL. I know that the Chiefs earlier in the season beat the Comets.
Yeah.
But the Crusaders beat the Pitbull.
I mean, that's the only loss I can think of.
The Dukes beat the Rage.
Yeah,
I think the Dukes may have lost to the Chiefs. I think one of those Cincinnati teams played the Chiefs.
So, here in the comments they're saying they're 11-2 against the PAFL.
What was the other game? Is it the Dukes and the Comets losing to the Chiefs?
I do think the Comets lost to the Chiefs because
I know the Comets did lose.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking the Dukes played the Chiefs.
I don't
Let us
remember
know.
that one.
All right, speaking of the PAFL, we're going to dive on into that. T1 brackets are set. T1 has probably been by far the most boring from top to bottom. And it's probably no fault that there's not many teams compared to T2. But the brackets are set. They're locked in. Nobody's really playing for anything other than just wins and pride. Recap. The Fire Chiefs. The commissioner came out today and said the Fire win 15-7 over the Chiefs. They gave them that score. I know it was filled with controversy. I think it was called. Well, I know for a fact it was called early. I tried to find some of the details of what happened. I don't. I think it was just a good matchup. One of the top T1 teams versus the top T1 team versus one of the top T2 teams.
Was this the shuffle pass to the end zone play?
There was a lot of controversy on a touchdown that supposedly didn't count, and I think that was the separation, the 15-7.
Okay.
I know it was tied 7-7.
I just remember seeing a video on the Ohio page where it looks like they ran a reverse into a pass, but it looked like it was a forward pass on the reverse, and then the receiver threw a touchdown pass. So I don't know if it was that game or not, but
it sounds like it.
Yeah,
but
it
it
would
looks
make
like
sense.
they have called that a win, or they've called that touchdown good. So I guess the Fire will get the win on that. Seminoles forfeit win over the Tornadoes. Seminoles, come on, man! I heard really good things about the Seminoles coming into the PAFL. You played like 4 games. A lot of these top-notch organizations are going out and getting more. You're sitting around these forfeits. Iron City Legends 2018 win over the Pittsburgh Rangers. It looked like it was a good game. I thought Pittsburgh Rangers had folded. No quarterback, no punter. I thought they did.
Wasn't that reported last week that they did fold?
That was the rumor.
Yeah.
But they played. They still lost, but made it a lot competitive than I thought it would be. Highland Park Polar Bears taking on the SMT or the Southern Michigan Timberwolves. This is big. I don't know what happened to SMT, but they're falling. I mean, this is a team that the last I heard, they had won the MLFA. They had beat the Toledo Thunder. They beat the Indy Braves, and now they're just getting beat. They were upset by the Michigan Hurricanes and said, okay, hey, they're a good team. Then the Highland Park Polar Bears beat them 40-14. I don't know. I mean, Highland Park seems nice. They hung in there with Detroit, but they're also, I want to say, 2-3 in their own tier.
They seem so up and down. Like you really can't get a good judgment on them because they're so off and so on. I don't
The
get
Ohio Raiders get a forfeit win over the Cleveland Patriots. This game right here, this next one. WPA Wildcats beat the Strabane Spartans 10-7. But that said a lot for Strabane. From my understanding, I think the Cats took a first opening drive, pick 6 back to the house. They're down 7-0. Strabane scored before going into half. It was a really close game after most part, going back and forth. I think there was a couple missed opportunities. I think there was a pump block that got called dead. I think there was an interception that was called down or out of bounds. It's just your typical football controversial calls when there's no review in place. But a late field goal sealed it, and WPA came with a win. But I put Strabane on that gripe list, on that list that's just on that list of teams that are just complaining. And they came out and they shocked me. I thought it was going to be a lopsided loss, and they hung in there.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked by that score. When I
NEO
saw
Preds beat the Cleveland Rams 30-12, which kind of really shocks me because I know the Rams are a pretty legit T2 team, but I think the Preds are here to stay. Lorain County Nightmare beat the Summit County Storm 35-6. It looked like the Nightmare may found their offense. Like I said, I've heard really good things about the Lorain County Nightmare quarterback. I think he's number 10, but it just hasn't shown on film. Like, it looks good on paper, but hasn't shown good on the field. And I think they got one Tier 1 win against the Rangers. All right, looking at the rankings for the PAFL Tier 1, Columbus Fire still obviously number 1, best team in the country. Number 2, WPA Wildcats. I think they're clicking. I think they're a good, deep, athletic team. I think they got a good, solid quarterback. strong ran organization. Don't.
And they're hitting their stride right at the right time.
I think this could be a little championship matchup. The Fire Wildcats. Number 3, NEO Predators. I counted you out early, but I mean, you've lost. You won a game I didn't think you should have won against the Wildcats, and you lost a game you probably shouldn't have lost to the Raiders, so I guess it evens out. Number 4, Detroit Seminoles. If you're not going forward, you're going backwards. They've only lost one Tier 1 game to the Fire, but they're not doing anything. Number 5.
They're stumbling at the wrong time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know. I wouldn't even say they're stumbling. They're just not playing. They're just be growing stagnant and not really doing anything. Number 5, Ohio Raiders. I think this is a good, solid team. They came out the gate hot, but I think they may have overachieved. I think the dust may have settled on this one. They've lost twice to the WPA Wildcats. I think that's the only Tier 2 team, their Tier 1 loss they have. But you got to be able to get that win. Number 6, Southern Michigan Timberwolves. I still don't know what's going on with you. Probably one of the more disappointing Tier 1 teams that is still active. Lorain County Nightmare. It looks like they might be getting a little momentum, but I just don't know if it's just a soft spot in their schedule. I hear a lot of great things from that quarterback. I just got to see them, like I said.
Yeah.
Number 8, Pittsburgh Rangers. I guess you're still around. Either way, you folded after the tornado, so I would still leave you there. But you don't have a kicker with a punt. I don't know why I keep saying that's important. A lot of teams don't have punters. But you don't have a quarterback. They've been readily admit that they don't have a quarterback. And in Tier 1, you need a quarterback. And then number 9 is probably still the shock of the season, really in semi-pro that I've covered, and that's the Indianapolis Tornadoes folding.
Yeah, I mean, that still hasn't hit me yet, like, because they've been around, what, 12, 13 years?
They've been around a while.
I mean, it's just crazy.
They was really making a name for themselves in the community.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, shoot, I guess technically they don't have to be connected, but they were bragging just a few months ago in the NFL draft that their players were like the silhouette effect players.
Yeah.
Which means
for the Nike
I know
commercial.
That doesn't really translate to the field, but that means you got a strong organization that's good at promoting.
Yeah.
I know a lot of guys that would probably play for them solely on that chance, and it didn't
Yeah.
matter. Pick'ems coming in this week. Fire at the Tornadoes. The Fire will be awarded a forfeit win. Patriots at the Predators. More than likely be a forfeit. I don't know if the Patriots have folded, but they weren't willing to make the trip to the Raiders and got handed that forfeit loss. So I can imagine they're not going to play the Predators, which would be another forfeit loss. So they may have folded. We might actually see some action. SMT versus the Seminoles. I think both teams are kind of stagnant. This was a close game. I think week 1 they won by 3. The Nose won by 3. I got them winning by a little bit more. I got the Nose 21, SMT 7. Another week 1 rematch. WPA Wildcats at the Pittsburgh Rangers. Just both teams going different directions. Just the talent level is immense between these two teams. The distance, the gap. WPA Wildcats 38, Rangers 0. And the Raiders at the Lorain County Nightmare. Circling this one. No teams have nothing to play for. From my understanding, all 8 teams in Tier 1 are locked into the playoffs, no matter what. If a team were to lose by 100 or win by 100, that playoff spot is locked. So I'm calling it. This is your upset game. It's my upset of Tier 1. Lorain County Nightmare 20, Ohio Raiders 14. It'll be their first meaningful Tier 1 win. Like I said, it won't matter, but going on a limb on it.
Are you saying it's an upset because the Raiders aren't going to play their guys?
I mean, they probably will, but I just don't think they'll be in it.
Okay.
But hey. All right, any talk going on over there? Anything we need to address?
They're still kind of debating about the BCFL, PAFL games. I've seen a few comments of saying it's like saying Troy beat the low team, SEC team, and you're calling the SEC weak.
Well, I'm not.
Yeah,
first
yeah.
off, I'm not calling the SEC weak,
Or,
but Troy
yeah.
did beat LSU,
Yeah,
and it was a good win for Troy.
but
I'm just saying, okay, so the PAFL is so huge that there's a big difference between the WPA Wildcats and the WPA Kings. There's a big difference between the Serene Spartans and the Ohio Rage. So I'm not saying that this is indicative of the entire PAFL. I'm just saying if you're there and if they're playing on matchups that have been agreed upon, the BCFL is winning right now.
yeah,
So maybe that means instead of 22 Tier 2 teams, maybe you go to 8 or 12, and then the BCFL, who have 6, add 6, and they go to 12. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and just to pile on that, I think the remaining teams in the BCFL can compete, and they will be the top teams in Tier 3, and they would be medium of the pack of Tier 2. Like,
I mean, it's one of those things iffy because I think the Southern Ohio Blaze would be a top, easily a top 10 team, if not higher, maybe even top 5 in the Tier 2. So I know that always doesn't go as planned. Moving on to Tier 2. Still work to be done on that playoff bracket. I know Jermaine came out with a very detailed list. I'll touch on a little bit here in this next segment of some things of how the T2 playoffs are going to look. Some recaps. The Pitt Saints get a forfeit win. The Columbus War Eagles are awarded a forfeit win in league play. The shocker, the one that I thought was actually a joke that evening when I got onto the pages and seen the score, NEO Silverbacks upset the Canton Pit Bulls 14-2. I can't figure you out, NEO Silverbacks. I was against you, you start winning. I start rooting for you, you start losing. I say, oh, there's no way in the world you're beating the Pit Bulls. You beat the Pit Bulls. And apparently there was some pregame shenanigans. Somebody bought a casket. Which, where are you getting a casket? Because there's 3 possibilities of where you got a casket. Either you work for somewhere that has caskets, and I don't pity, I pity your job, and I wouldn't want to do that for the world. Either 2, you own a casket, which that's weird, because I don't know if there's anyone around that's old enough to be owning a casket.
That's very weird.
Or 3, that's someone else's casket. Is there a dead body somewhere? Was there a dead body in the casket? Did you dig this casket up out of a grave? I want to know where that casket came from. I want to know what was in it. Was it from the Pit Bulls or was it from the Silverbacks?
I don't know.
I will dedicate this entire show to finding out where that casket came from. I need answers.
I'm going to do a 30 for 30 on
30 for 30. What if I told you in a game no one thought they could win, there was a casket? Why do you have a casket? I like it. I got answers. I mean, I got questions. I need answers. Right.
The team that brought the casket, you're my new favorite team in semi-pro. Just throwing it out there.
What are the Pit Bulls? What if they still the team that lost? Like, you bring a casket. You go through all this trouble. You bring a casket and you lose. You can't go through all that.
Still my favorite team.
Butler County Broncos get a forfeit win against the Steam, I guess. Have the Steam folded? They close up shop?
I don't know.
Because Butler County played a game. They can't play 2 games. That'd be just disrespectful. Beat one team, and then turn around and play another game. I'm so energetic that I can still play another game. They got a forfeit win, it looks like. Dayton Hornets, Ohio Crush. Hornets win 37-12. A little surprised. I thought the way Dayton was clicking, it would just be more of a 55-0. Maybe they let the foot off the gas.
Let me go ahead and jump in here real quick. It said the Pit Bulls brought the casket.
Pit Bulls brought the casket.
Yep.
Where did they get the casket? I gotta have one of y'all gotta know somebody with the Pit Bull organization. Where'd the casket come from? I expect answers. Ohio Rays get a big win against the Marion Titans, 30-16. The Michigan Hurricanes, one of the hottest teams in Tier 2, get a forfeit win. This kind of shocked me. Obviously it was overshadowed by the Pit Bulls game, but the Crusaders, the Tri-County Crusaders, beat the Lima Warriors. That's one of those ones where, yes, one's a Tier 2 team, one's a Tier 3 team, but I thought the Lima Warriors were one of the top Tier 3 teams, which means they could. I thought they could compete with most of Tier 2.
Yeah.
Crusaders say not so fast. The hottest team in Tier 3, the Rough Riders, lost to the Westmoreland Wolves 26-14. Bravo to the Westmoreland Wolves. I'll get back to y'all.
I saw something like, did they change their name, the Mon Valley?
No.
Okay.
So I was just typing up all the rankings, and I just assumed that MV Rough Riders stood for Mon Valley Rough Riders, but I knew that wasn't their name.
Yeah.
And when I was thinking Mon Valley Sabres and Mon Valley Rough Riders, I put Mon Valley Rough Riders.
Okay.
I didn't mean it, but apparently that MV stands for something else. Which, once again, you have a name of a flag team. This is one of those, when I watch the AFFL on NFL Network, this is one of those teams I see. I expect the money team versus the Rough Riders.
Yeah.
But anyway, somebody called me out on it because I made a mistake. I did.
But so,
And
what does the
then to
MV
me-
stand? What does the MV stand for? You have any idea?
Something else that's stupid.
It's-
I shouldn't say that. But no, it's something that I didn't really pay attention to.
Let's go
But
ahead and
so
chime in on the
jokingly-
chats.
So jokingly, I made a reference that they were forced to change the name to Mon Valley because they lost to Mon
Yeah,
Valley.
okay.
What are you saying about the chats?
Oh, I was just saying, if you guys know what MV stands for, go ahead and post it in
It's
the
like
chat here.
Murdy Valley, Monty Valley. I don't know. Monte Carlo. I don't know.
It's Mon Valley from here on out.
Yes, until y'all beat Mon Valley. All right, diving into the Tier 2 rankings. Number 1, got the Michigan Hurricanes, currently sitting at number 2 in the bracket. They seem to be firing on all cylinders, and they need a 53-point win to move to number 1. Looking at you, Michigan. Number 2, Cincinnati Chiefs. They had a little bit of a fiasco there, but they're still one of the top teams in Tier 2. I still expect them to make a lot of noise. They're currently sitting at number 3, but they could drop to number 5 with a loss. Dayton Hornets is on that backside. Number 3, Strabane Spartans. Hey, they called it one of the hot. Right now, they're one of the hottest teams in Tier 2. I gave them a hard time about the beginning of their schedule, about the strength of their schedule. They're turning it around on me. Right now, they are locked into the number 1 seed in their conference. Number 4, Dayton Hornets. They got a high-powered offense, a tough defense. They got that kid from the NFL, currently sitting at number 5. Could jump to number 3 with a win and a Chiefs loss. Number 5, Columbus War Eagles. Hey, I'm stripping away everything. I'm stripping away the loss to the Storm. I'm stripping away the loss to the Dukes. You're still undefeated in tier play. You've struggled to get some of that outside. I'm not going to count that against you right now. Right now, you are sitting number 1 in your bracket. And as long as the Canes win by less than 53, you're going to lock in that number 1 seed. Number 6, had to jump you. NEO Silverbacks. This is the biggest jump that I had. It just really impressed me that you had that big win. And right now, you're locked into number 5 seed in your bracket. Number 7, Canton Pit Bulls. That's probably the biggest fall I've had in any league. You go from number 1 to number 7. But like I said, I put so much faith in this. And y'all can still bounce back. But I did not see that coming. And you're pretty much locked into that number 2 seed in your conference. Number 8, Cleveland Rams. It's a solid number 2 team. I think this is where it starts to dip from the talent from Tier 2 to Tier 1. Because they have played 2 Tier 1 opponents, if I'm not mistaken, and they lost both. And one was the Lorain County Nightmare, so it's not like they've been caught playing the Columbus Fire. Currently sitting at number 3, and they will remain such unless they either win by more than 78, which talk about forced to run the score up, or do they lose. Now, I think they got to lose. I think if they lose, they win less than 8 too. I think that could be a problem for them. Number 9, your Butler County Broncos. Your Butler County Broncos are basically the old Dennis Green saying, they are who we thought they were. They win the games you think they're going to, and they lose the ones they're supposed to. Seems like a pretty sturdy team, but you're not going to pull many upsets. BCFL champion, still trying to make a run here. They could make some more noise in the playoff, but currently locked into that number 4 seed. Number 11, Iron City Legends. The Legends have had a solid season, but I feel like they're like the Dukes of the Tier 2. A lot of 14-6 wins, a lot of 14-6 losses. Currently at number 4, could move to number 3 with a less than stellar ramp performance, which is basically what I talked about, is I think they got to lose or win by less than 8. I think if the Rams win by like 4, that could be Iron City's spot to jump. Number 11, hey, as far as terms, they're back. Westmoreland Wolves. I heard, what was it, just like a month ago, they had hit their low point. They lost their quarterback. They lost their offensive coordinator. Same person, of course. They were on fold watch. Now here they are winning. Now they are in number 8 seed. So,
But don't be sleeping on them. I mean, they're trying to hit their stride.
Let me think. They're in the side of the bracket that has, who's that number 1 seed over there? I think it's the Pit Bulls or somebody. It's not a favorable. I would actually like them if they were playing the War Eagles, but they're not in that side of the bracket. Number 12, Tri-County Crusaders. The Crusaders, they're a team that'll shock you every once in a while. They'll come in there and they'll rustle some feathers. I didn't think they could beat the Summit County Storm. They did. I didn't think they could beat the Lima Warriors. They did. I know that second one doesn't have anything to do with them in tier play, but it's just really shocking me. They're currently sitting at the 6th seed in their conference. Speaking of which, number 13, Summit County Storm. The Storm seem to be struggling on the stretch. Thought they were a pretty solid organization. Lost some games I didn't expect them to. Currently sitting at the 6th seed as well. Can they turn around in August? Number 14, Highland Park Polar Bears. They played really good. They played actually better against Tier 1 teams than they have their own Tier 2. I'd actually heard that one of the games, their quarterback quit mid-game. See if they get that figured out going into the playoffs. Currently sitting at the 7th seed.
So they're a team that steps up to competition and steps down to competition. What it sounds like.
About right. But in a huge way.
Yeah.
Number 15, Pittsburgh Saints. Currently sit at number 7. Seem like a very solid organization. To be honest, I don't know too much about them. I know they did beat the Rough Riders and they beat a couple other teams that I really wasn't expecting. Number 16, Ohio Crush. This is just me looking deeper than I probably should. Once somebody asked me why did I have them ranked above the Rage in the national rankings, and I got them ranked above the Rage in this ranking. I got them 16, I got the Rage 17. And the reason it is, even though everything on paper looks better about the Rage, I just like the Crush as a better team. I just think if the two face, I think the Crush would win. Crush are currently eliminated from playoffs. With that being said, number 17 is the Ohio Rage, and they, because of a different bracket, are in the 8th seed of their own conference. Number 19, the Ohio Valley Saints. They've had their struggles. I think they only got one win off of a forfeit. If I'm not mistaken, there was a lot of drama earlier in the first game of the season when they asked, there was a rumor that they were asked not to blitz against the Chiefs. I don't know if you remember us talking about that.
Yeah.
Apparently there is a way they can make the playoffs, but it's nearly impossible. Those are the commissioner's words, not mine. That's number 18, Ohio Valley Saints. Number 19, Lima Steam. Once again, it appears that they have folded. I'm waiting confirmation. Number 20, the Cleveland Patriots. They were in rebuilding mode, out of the playoffs. Looks like they may have folded or at least taken forfeits. Number 21, the Ohio Gladiators. They had some really nice uniforms. I really liked them. But they folded. Shut down shop early. And the number 22 team, the WPA Kings, they folded mid-season. Anything? What's going on in that chat?
Yeah, let me ask
where
you.
the casket came from.
Still haven't got that answer, or if anything was in it. So 30 for 30 is still on. But anyways, let me ask you about your rankings. I saw this earlier today. Somebody asked, why are you ranking a non-playoff team above a playoff team? What is your reasoning behind that? I mean, like,
I don't know if
I
they
got
were
mine.
talking. I don't know if they were talking non-playoff. I thought they were talking about a team ranked higher in the playoffs than another team. But the playoffs, okay, so for example, when the playoffs come, I'm gonna skip ahead. I was gonna talk about this in the GDFL,
okay.
But while we're talking about it, I think the GFL has the best example. In my opinion, if all things were equal, the Huntsville Rockets are substantially better than the Erie Express. The Erie Express have absolutely played nobody in the regular season. The Huntsville Rockets have played one of the toughest teams. They played last year's GDFL runner-up in the Chattanooga Eagles. They played the Middle Tennessee Bulldogs twice. They played the Georgia Crush twice. I'm sure there's another team in there I'm missing. And they've come away with one loss. But because those two paths were not created equal, the Erie Express are ranked much higher in the playoff bracket than the Huntsville Rockets. Even though I think the Huntsville Rocket is a much better team. The playoffs tell a different story, and that's why it's so interesting, because you could have a team that's set back. You're going to see it in Tier 3 when we talk about it. I think it's the Tri-County Phoenix, who in my opinion are worse than every other team on that conference, but because they won the right games at the right time, they're going to be a number 2 seed.
And I hope that answered that person's question. I forgot who it was. But let's go back to the coffin. Dun dun. There was a silverback gorilla in the coffin.
There was an actual gorilla?
A stuffed silverback gorilla.
Oh, it was stuffed.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, come on, we're not gonna put a real gorilla in a coffin.
Well, who would have brought a real casket?
Well.
Okay. Well, I was actually low key excited because I had even more questions if it was a real gorilla
Yeah.
dead. Now, when you say stuffed,
It
are
said
you
stuffed
saying like
silverback gorilla.
stuffed? Like, is it a child's toy?
That's what
or
I would assume.
Stuffed as in someone killed a gorilla and had it like taxidermy.
Rick Ryan, let's get that answer, man. Was it a stuffed baby gorilla or like a child's toy or a taxidermy gorilla?
Was it hombre? I'm not. I don't. Is he even a silverback? I don't know what kind of animal it was. Moving on to the picks. Cincinnati Chiefs at the Ohio Valley Saints. This is probably the first step in Jermaine Campbell's nearly impossible way to make the playoffs. You got to beat the Chiefs. No way it's happening. I got the Chiefs 44, the Saints nothing. Hornets get a forfeit win. I imagine they're not going to try to make anything up this close to the playoffs. War Eagles at the Steam. I imagine that's a forfeit win. Got the War Eagles. The Iron City Legends at the Ohio Gladiators. Legends will be awarded a forfeit win. The WPA Kings at the Tremaine Spartans. Spartans will be awarded a forfeit win. Man, I get tired of saying that. All right, Butler County Broncos at the Ohio Rage. Not sure that any of these teams have anything to play for. I could see the Butler County Broncos jumping out ahead early, and then the Rage trying to make something of it late. I got Butler County winning 28-6. NEO Silverbacks at the Pitt East Storm. A little tier cross action. The Silverbacks coming off a big win. Locked into that number 5 seed. It's time they let us down again. They're not going to lose, but they're going to win close. I got the Silverbacks 14, the Storm 6. Marion Titans at the Highland Park Polar Bear. Highland Park seems to be hitting their stride, and I think the Titans are probably the worst team in PAFL. I got the Polar Bears 55, the Titans 0.
Good pick.
Michigan Hurricanes at the Tri-County Crusaders. This is a division game. The Canes need 53 points to move into the number 1 seed. They're going for it. They're not going to get it, and they're going to realize that about midway through the 4th. They're going to win 57-14. Canton Pit Bulls at the Summit County Storm. Once again, the Pit Bulls don't have much to play for. I think they're really just playing for pride coming off that loss. I have them winning 33-8. The Crush will receive a forfeit win. Unfortunately, it won't have anything to do with anything because they are already set to miss the playoffs. This is probably the game of the week just because it does have something to do with the line. We got the Cleveland Rams at the Westmoreland Wolves. My head tells me to take the Rams. I think the Rams are the better team, but I think the Wolves have something more to play for. I think the Wolves win 14-12 with it being a home game.
And I've heard they're really well coached as well, the Wolves.
Right.
So,
Tri-County Phoenix at the Pittsburgh Saints. I mean, the Saints won pretty easy against a better Tier 3 team in the Rough Riders. So I think the Saints will win 28-6 here. Anything on Tier 2 before we move on?
I believe Spartans are playing the Rough Riders. Did you get that game?
I was wanting some confirmation on that. I got the Spartans. I think the Spartans are just really hitting their slide right now, and I think the Rough Riders are really looking. They're really pressing. They're really looking for a win. I got the Spartans winning 28-14. Moving on to Tier 3 playoffs. It's pretty simple. 8 teams, 4 on each side. One team on one side only has 4, so I wonder what 4 will make it. 4. The other side, there's a little bit of suspense, but I don't think it'll matter. Before we dive in, we're going to recap last week. Southern Ohio Blaze blasted the Ohio Valley Saints 51-0. Blaze continued to dominate. The River City Buccaneers beat the Portsmouth Stealth 46-14. Buccaneers seem to be getting hot at the right time. And the Mon Valley Sabres probably come up with the best win of their season as they beat the Pitt East Storm 32-8. I know the Storm had gotten a little better with the downfall of the West Virginia Ironmen, but it looks like the Sabres might be getting hot at the right time. And the West Virginia Storm, even though they lost to the Tanks, picked up a Tier 3 win. We're going to dive into the rankings of Tier 3. Number 1 still remains the Southern Ohio Blaze. They look to be by far the best, and they currently sit at number 1 in the conference. Number 2, the West Virginia Storm. The Storm need to get something going with their offense. I heard they really struggled. I didn't count this into this ranking, but I still heard they struggled to move the ball. I think they had negative 25 passing yards. If Billy Cole's in there, he'll be sure to correct me if I'm wrong. But I think they had negative 25 passing yards against the Tanks. You're gonna need that to get that together. With a win Saturday, they'll lock the number two seed in at least.
How do you get negative 25 yards passing when they're running screen passes all day?
Sacks.
Oh, sacks.
Since you play by NFL rules,
Oh, okay.
sacks count against yards. But still, how do you get negative 25 passing yards?
Yeah.
Number 3, the Mon Valley Sabres. Man, they're really hitting their stride right now. And I know they caught a lot of flack for some earlier losses, but I think they're a contender. Number 4, I had to drop the Lima Warriors. I know they didn't lose in Tier 3, but with Mon Valley playing better, I was already fast and loose with those two jumping each other anyway. Lima needs a win on Saturday to move to number 2. Currently sits at number 3. River City Buccaneers at number 5. That's a good, solid organization. I played them last year in the MSFA. I think they've gotten substantially better. They had a break go their way with the Colonels folding, added some depth. They're currently sitting at number 5. I believe they are in the playoffs. They will play the Storm for the right to win that division. Number 6, the MV Rough Riders. Whatever MV stands for, they're just pretty much locked in here at the 3 seed. I don't really see them. They're not quite up to River City's par, but they're not quite bad enough to drop anywhere else. So they're pretty much, no matter if they win or lose, they're probably just going to sit right there at that number 6. Number 7, the Pitt East Storm. Now this is where it gets kind of funny. This is where we're talking about what Buddy was talking about this morning.
Yeah.
Look, I got the Pitt East Storm number 7, and they're the number 4 team. They're not even going to win their division, but I got them ranked as the highest team above their division because I think with the players they added, they are the better team. Number 8, the Portsmouth Stealth. They really struggled throughout the year. They're going to miss the playoffs. I think they could probably beat a couple people, but I don't have much faith in them. And here's what I'm talking about. Number 9, the Tri-County Phoenix. They've won their division. They're going to be number 2 team in their playoff.
Yeah.
But if all things were equal, if everybody played one big round robin, I think they would be the 9th best team. The Marion Titans are number 10. They're, like I said, they're probably the worst team in the PAFL. At least of one of the remained. You know, once they might go in there with the Patriots, I'm not sure. And then number 11 is the West Virginia Ironmen. They've been kicked out of the league. One thing I've always done is, as long as I know what the teams are, if they fold anywhere remotely close to season started, I will drag them through. No disrespect, just you bought into the league, you're a part of it. If a team is going to be awarded a win off you, I'm going to try to keep you. Now, I know there were some other teams that folded, like the Carter County Wildcats, that the league no longer keeps up with. I wasn't able to keep up with those. Picks for the Tier 3. Not many of them.
Pick them.
Stealth will get a forfeit win. Won't really matter. Blaze at the Warriors. This is a big game. If the Blaze win, they're number 1.
I like this matchup.
If the Warriors win, they win that division. You know who wants this probably to win more than anyone on that field? Billy Cole. He will sleep like a baby if the Blaze lose this week. If the Blaze lose this week and they have to fall to a 3 seed and they have to go through West Virginia, he will sleep like a baby. But it's not happening. Blaze win 20-14.
Billy said that's not true.
What's not true?
Which you just said.
What part? I said a lot.
He sleeps like a baby every night.
Speaking of Billy, West Virginia Storm.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He says the Blaze can win and they'll still get the number 1 seed.
Who will still get the number 1 seed?
Billy Cole's
If the
team.
Blaze win, of course they're going to get the number 1 seed. But what if the Blaze lose? What's he talking about?
He says Blaze can win and we'll still get number 1.
They'll still get number 1? How?
I don't know. Billy,
Billy,
chime in.
I got questions.
We're going to pause the show until you answer that question, Billy.
I still don't know about this stupid casting. Blaze?
It's a
Billy?
point differential.
How many points you got to score, Billy?
But then
The world is watching you, Billy.
But then Jared Walker says you have to win Saturday, Billy Cole.
Spoiler alert, I got them winning 26-20.
What?
And then the Rough Riders, well, they blasted the Bucks when it was at West Virginia. They got to go on the road. It'll be a closer game this time around, but it's still going to be Storm 26-20. Is that enough points for you, Billy?
Okay, so now people are starting to chime in. Says Billy Cole's team's got to win by 40 to
Not
get the number
happening.
1 seed. And then Billy chimed in and said, if the Blaze win, we have to beat the Bucks by 24 plus. So there seems to be a kind of
All right. Either way, not happening.
just win, baby, win.
Storm by 26, or Storm 26-20, and the Rough Riders will get a forfeit win.
Moving on.
All right, I switched it up a little bit. I didn't skip the GDFL, just put them to last. They're already in the playoffs. Life's already steaming up for them, but we're going to talk about it. Is there trouble in paradise? Now, the GDFL is one of the biggest leagues out. They're one of the well-ran. They're very well promoted. But Rome had to fall.
Yeah.
Every powerhouse, every dynasty hits the skids every once in a while. Is the time nigh for the GDFL? Only reason I say that is I've heard some rumblings. I've heard some rumblings that teams are not happy with this piece of paper that they had to sign, which from my understanding, they were not aware of this contract prior to the season. But once playoffs started, you had to sign that paper. So, first thing I've heard, that ruffled some feathers.
Which it should.
Right,
Yeah,
it should.
It's stupid.
Number two, did you get too big without building a stability? Look, I know the GDFL has always been top heavy. They've always carried about their top 4, 5, 10 teams, whatever. But they was always pretty sectioned off. I mean, I know that they had the Wolverines there for a while, but you went even further this time around. You brought the Erie Express in. That's really far from your demographic of area, your area that you've been selling to. I don't know if all those other teams that make them competitive are coming back. I don't know if the Red Dragons are coming back. I don't know if the Cavalry are coming back. I don't know if the Smash are coming back. I feel like also in some of the things I've seen, and like I said, I'm no geography. I don't know how America is laid out by cities. I felt like the Oklahoma teams kind of got cut off a little bit. I felt like the GDFL kind of focused up one direction, kind of leaving off some of your powerhouses. Look, I don't know. GDFL is a lot bigger than I am. They can make it. But I'm just saying, I've seen bigger things than this fall. And I've just heard some rumblings. I've heard a lot of owners aren't happy with how things came out. Now, as long as you got your top 3 or 4 teams, you're good. But I heard that some teams weren't happy that the schedule got changed 500 times. I heard there's some teams that aren't happy that they only played 1 or 2 road games or home games. I hear that there's teams that the way it's lined out now have to travel further than you should even have to travel for a championship game for a first-round game. And then, once again, this whole contract. So, I don't know. GDFL may be in a state where they are stronger and they are just untouchable and come back faster than anything.
I just think their footprint is too big. Like
their footprint is huge.
They're trying to reach too far.
But the PAFL is growing.
Yeah.
The NAFL. Anybody remember the NAFL, the North American Football League? That was huge. Where's it now? And if I'm not mistaken, the NAFL had the Central Pennsylvania Piranhas, had the Indianapolis Tornadoes, had the Nashville Storm, all these teams, and of course, they may even have the Racing Racers. All these teams, of course, the GDFL has had as well.
Yeah.
But it's just a new age. It's cycling. And I'm not saying that they're going to be gone, but are they up for rough patches? I don't know. I don't know what other leagues are out there other than the ones I already covered.
Well, they got 8 teams left, so there's, 3 weeks left? So only time will tell. So in about a month, we'll find out.
So playoffs in full stride. Recap last week. Sabres beat the Preds. Billy Cole, what are you sending me? Sabres beat the Preds 22-16. Looks like Sabres holds off the Predators. And I believe they signed a late addition, an Auburn running back. Looks like it didn't make too much of a difference. I've been doubling down on these Oklahoma Thunder. Oklahoma Thunder went on the road, beat the Tri-City Outlaws 41-6 before half. Game got canceled.
Ouch.
I'm putting you up there with the Columbus Gladiators when you get, that's on pace for an 82-12 score. Game of the week, Huntsville Rockets, Georgia Crush, another instant classic. These two teams have played twice. The Rockets have won both times by a combined 5 points. That's what I'm talking about.
Those
the
are good
Huntsville
games.
Rockets are much better than the crap that they've been handed by having to drive 12 hours next week. And I know that they're a good organization, they can do it, but come on. And then the Lexington Red Dragons were handed a forfeit win because the Buffalo Spartans bus broke down. They were awarded an 8-0 win. No, we'll look at that later. All right, so I did the rankings of the last 8 teams remaining in the GDFL. Number 1, the Middle Tennessee Bulldogs are just too deep. They're playing too good. Number 2, the Huntsville Rockets. They're actually 1B. If I could just watch a whole season, forget all these other teams. If I could just watch a whole season of Huntsville Rockets playing the Middle Tennessee Bulldogs, the Middle Tennessee Bulldogs playing the Georgia Crush playing the Huntsville Rockets, just that over and over, I'd be happy. Number 3, Erie Express. Really well-ran organization, but they have played no one during this regular season, and they're going to really benefit from being a number 1 seed and being hundreds of miles away from their nearest opponent.
Yeah.
Number 4, the Oklahoma Outlaws. They swapped places. They swapped hits with the Oklahoma Road Warrior or the Mississippi Road Warriors. They look to be one of their best contenders in their bracket. I'm still trying to figure out exactly who they have, what makes them different from the Thunder, but I got them number 4. Number 5, the Mississippi Road Warriors, currently number 1 seed in their bracket. I think some things are going to shake up on that this week, though. Number 6, Oklahoma Thunder. I just got faith in the Oklahoma Thunder. Maybe it's me trusting a brand, but when big companies struggle, they come back strong. A true big company can struggle and come back strong. I think that's the Oklahoma Thunder. They know how to win. They've been here before. Yes, they lost some players. Probably just like in a lot of sports, a lot of guys got bored. But they're back now, ready to prove something.
It's winning's in their blood. It's the culture there.
Number 7, Alabama Sabres. I think they got a really strong quarterback play. They're looking to make a big splash. I don't know how well they hold up. And the Lexington Red Dragons, I felt they were one of the best teams 3 months ago. And I think it's just it's aging faster than it can hold up.
They came out firing and then been stumbling since that first loss they got. I can't even think of who they lost to now, but they've been stuck.
They lost to the Chattanooga Eagles.
Yeah.
And then the Middle Tennessee Bulldogs. My picks: Huntsville Rockets at the Erie Express. Look, the Rockets are much better than the Express, but you got a long trip, which barely had me holding on to the Rockets. Then I found out the game's at 3 o'clock their time. So even if they wanted to leave in time to get there for kickoff, they would have to leave at 3 a.m. Now, I know good organizations can get a bus, they get hotel rooms, but this is a second-round playoff game, and a lot of these guys still got to work on Friday. So you get off work, you drive 13 hours, and you get a half a night's of sleep. I really like the Rockets, but I'm really worried about this. I got the Express pulling the upset. Well, it wouldn't be the upset, but I got the Express winning 14-13. The Sabres at the Outlaws. The Sabres hit the road. I've heard that they struggle to travel. I heard that this has kind of been a sore spot in the GDFL, that they don't want to have to travel. Well, if they do, Outlaws going to win 34-6. Red Dragons at the Dogs. This just happened a week ago and it wasn't pretty. And it ain't going to be pretty this time. Same place, same location, same Facebook Live. Bulldogs win 50-8.
Does the game get finished this week?
Yeah, game gets finished. They come out just as hot. Maybe the Red Drags find a way to score early. Oklahoma Thunder at the Mississippi Road Warriors. Road Warriors are the #1 team. And they're the only team to beat the Outlaws that beat the Thunder twice. But the Thunder are your actual Road Warriors. I've heard from several different people that the Thunder's only played a handful of home games. Or 2. Thunder, I'm telling you, they're a different beast. And I could be wrong. I could go down swinging. But they're a different beast in the playoffs. Oklahoma Thunder, 42. Mississippi Road Warriors, 14. This game does get finished, I think. What's going on in this chat over here? Billy's still griping about stuff.
I mean, everybody's pretty much chimed down. You guys are getting tired or what? Starting too early today? I'm not for sure.
We may have started a little early today. Just going to throw it out there. Is there any I asked last week, what would you guys like to talk about as semi-pro simmered down? I heard some things about some college football. I put out some college football rankings. Anything that you'd like to talk about over the next 10 minutes? Any matchup you'd like to see? Any question? Any pro conversation you'd like to discuss? Any college? The floor is really your guys. I guess I got to see whatever old Billy sent me. He sent me about 100 different things.
Yeah, the forfeits in the playoff was that was a big eye raising. Like,
Well, I mean, their bus broke down.
Yeah.
I mean, can't do anything about that, I guess. My other question is, what kind of bus did you have? Did you have a Miller? Did you have like a legitimate bus? Because from my understanding, like AAA will come take care of you. Did you buy a bus at a yard sale? One with 300, 400,000 miles? One of those like blue gel looking buses?
Maybe they borrowed the Lightning bus.
Missed the MSFA recap.
This will be posted on YouTube as soon as we're done here. So
exactly. There was a lot. We talked a lot about the MSFA.
Yeah. So as soon as this is over, within the next half hour, 45 minutes, you can replay that on YouTube. MSFA, we started out.
The reason I'm so high on the Blaze, they're good.
Yeah.
I mean, and they didn't just get dog walked by the tanks. Sorry, Billy. Ryan asks, is there any matchups we'd like to see when the season's over? Well, there's actually some works going.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's a potential, some bows. Some I'll be promoting. Some I may actually be a part of. I'll be getting in touch with some teams as the season goes on, or as the season winds down, to see if they'd be interested. I really want to see... some camera on mic. I really want to see Bulldogs versus Fire. I think they're two of the top teams. I'd like to see some of these good offensive teams. I want to see Blaze versus Spartans. I want to see WPA versus WPA versus the Rockets. I think it'll be a great game. Dog versus Thunder. I think we're going to see Dogs versus Thunder. I think that's going to be the championship game. I'm not counting the Thunder out.
Do the if the Dogs beat the Red Dragons, do they got to drive to Erie as well?
Okay. Yes. As long as Erie Express win.
Oh, so
everyone will have. They're the number one seed.
Yeah, number
Life
one
has
seed.
to go through
Okay.
that. What did you send me, Billy? I'm gonna read it right here on there.
So
There's
the
a
question.
cat eating a donut. Billy, you want me to read all this? And I gotta watch this video?
So the real question is, do we think the Dogs can travel to Erie well enough to pull that out?
So you gotta win by 24. If they win, the Blaze win, you have to win by 24. Yes, I knew that. If you lose by 15, what happens? If you lose by 15, Lima beats the Blaze by more than 5, you could still get the number one seed? You're not going to. You're not going to.
Just
And what's this
just
big
win the
book
game.
I gotta read over here? This looks whatever. I'll read that one later.
Let's pick the
You didn't
Alabama
mean to send the
Louisville
cat.
game.
He sent the cat. I'm gonna show everybody the cat you sent. All right, what's being said?
Blaze
say?
versus Rockets sounds dope.
Who does?
It says the Blaze versus Rockets.
The Southern Ohio Blaze versus the Huntsville Rockets?
I'd assume that's what he's talking
Rockets
about.
will win by 50. Spartans versus Pitbull with their quarterback.
I like the
I still like
Pitbulls.
Pitbulls.
Yeah,
I think the Pitbulls are just an overall better team, especially when you add that quarterback in. Not to take away from the Spartans, they're really proving me a lot of things, but I still think Canton's probably the better team on that.
Speaking of the Pitbulls, I was browsing YouTube, I think Monday or Tuesday at work. It was a little slow. They have a weekly semi-pro update. It's some guy from the team, and he kind of just talks about it. And I forgot his name, but he does a really good job on that. So if you guys search Canton Pitbulls on the YouTube, just go ahead and give that a like. I mean,
the PAFL does a lot of good games.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and it looks like they have multiple camera views.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of people down there.
Well, it's the guy that was on about a month ago, the Western Auto or the Western Reserve.
That's him?
I'm pretty sure it is.
I thought they just did their one team.
Oh, maybe, but I thought I saw the logo on a couple of their games.
So this last guy said the GDFL would take out any league y'all cover. I need details. Whoever this Jaquil guy is. Because, are you going to give me your best? Because it's like the argument the SEC could beat any other conference.
Yeah, is it
no,
one
Alabama could beat any other conference.
Yeah.
Georgia could beat any other conference. But if you go down the list, it drops off after there.
Yeah, like, so if you're talking 1 versus 1,
Bulldogs,
2 versus 2, 3
yeah.
versus 3. then-
Bulldogs could probably beat anybody.
Yeah.
But if you're going to give me, if I get to pick, if I get to say Memphis Blast versus the Strabane Spartans, I'm going with the Spartans. Tanks versus Sabres, or the Tanks versus Sabres. Somebody's talking about the Sabres. Tanks versus the Spartans.
Tanks.
Yeah, I really like what I see against the Tanks when they're at full. I would prefer Job Swords be back. Crusaders at the Chattanooga Eagles.
Well, let me jump on that. I saw earlier that they said the backup quarterback, I forgot his name now, but he's a better athlete than Job Swords is.
Yeah, but at the quarterback position in the semi-pro landscape, give me a pocket passer.
Well, and then I remember seeing that they put him in and he threw a pick 6, like his very first play in. So,
Crusaders at the. Where's it at, Lucci? Is it at Chattanooga? I might give a little bit of an edge to Chattanooga, but if they got to go to Indianapolis, I'll give it to Marion County. Because Chattanooga, look, a lot of people rag on Chattanooga for going 3-5, but as long as they were in playoff contention, they lost by 2 points to the Rockets. They did lose to the Bulldogs twice. Actually, I think they lost to the Rockets twice and the Bulldogs twice, and then I think they lost late. But didn't we have somebody tell us they were down to their 5th quarterback?
Yeah, seventh quarterback. But yeah.
Okay, I'm agreeing with you though. Like this guy for the GDFL. Anything I've ever said on this show, except the Alabama Sabres. I don't think the Alabama Sabres could beat the Columbus Fire.
No.
I don't think the Alabama Sabres could beat the WPA Wildcats. But if you've ever watched the show, I'm on board with the Huntsville Rockets. I mean, when I put out my quote-unquote national rankings or top 25, outside of the Columbus Fire, I'm right there with everybody who's pretty much remaining in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Minus the Red Dragons and the Sabres. I mean, the number 2 team is easily the Middle Tennessee Bulldogs, and that's only because they lost. The number 3 team's easy is the Huntsville Rockets. Number 4 is the Erie Express. Georgia Crush, Georgia Crush probably one of the stronger teams in there. Was on their 7th quarterback is what I'm hearing now for Chattanooga.
Yeah.
But that just tells you how either they're breeding QBs out there, or they just got a team that anybody can step up at any given time and play with and
It's
play.
just crazy. I just can't fathom 7 quarterbacks. Only because of the fact that I don't know. When I was with the Bucks the last season, we had 2 good quarterbacks and a really decent quarterback.
Yeah.
And all 3 couldn't exist. The third ended up going to a different team.
Mm-hmm.
The other 2, they said they were okay with rotating. It was much like this. One had a strong arm and it was mobile, and the other was a great pocket passer, could pick you apart. But even then, they didn't coexist. Like, you just didn't get the best. Like, both of them gave you 80%.
Yeah.
It just like, I feel like if you ever run a 2 quarterback system in college and NFL, you will never get the full potential out of a quarterback. So, but that's just my opinion, which is right.
Well, as the guy over here is talking about the Sabres, the interesting thing you have to ask, where's it at? Does Columbus, does WPA, does Erie, Erie's in the GFL, so it kind of loses that luster. Does the Crusaders, do they have to travel to Alabama? Because I'm going to give Alabama the go-ahead. But I'm telling you, I've heard a lot that the Sabres do not travel. And if the Sabres do not travel, Then I'm going to give you about 20 teams that can beat them. The Rockets, I can imagine. The Fire would be about the only team that I could think could hang with them. Just because that Middle Tennessee in the Rockets game was just so interesting.
Lucius, we're not even going to entertain that
Comets
game.
versus Sabres. The Tri-State versus Northern Kentucky, I would just probably quit.
Yeah, we're not even going to entertain that game.
We would start to cover, I don't know, sewing or something.
We're going to do a cornhole like
Comets
ESPN.
at Sabres.
did.
Comets would easily beat the Sabres. I think the Comets are just, the Comets are a good team, and I think they're really starting to click right now.
Yeah.
Mike, any questions for the show?
Nothing much. I mean, like, I'm really looking forward to this second round of the GDFL playoffs. This playoff football is hands down the best.
So next week, we will be. Yeah, I agree. WPA can compete in there. Next week, we're going to be focusing more on. Of course, I'm going to give you some recap. We're going to predict a couple of games, but we're going to dive into the playoffs.
Love it.
And I'm going to work. We're just going to. I've done the bracketology twice. This is going to be my final bracketology before either the brackets get released, or at least from my closest understanding what the brackets will be. We're going to drop them. We're going to try to pick. I'm going to pick my champions. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to pick my champion. And I'm going to stick with them.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
As of right now, I'm calling it. As of right now, the champions of every league I cover: MSFA, given to the Canes; BCFL, Crusaders; Tier 1, Fire; Tier 2, Chiefs; Tier 3, Blaze; GDFL, Bulldogs.
Those are pretty good picks, except for the GDFL. I mean,
You don't think the Bulldogs are going to win it?
it just traveling to Erie is just rough. I mean, even from the Tennessee, the Nashville area is going to be 10, 11-hour trip up there. You know,
if anybody can find a way to get a team somewhere, it'd be Ricky.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I don't question that. It just, hopefully they get there the night before, they get a good night's sleep, so they aren't lagged.
Nicholas Benjamin just hopped in. Who doesn't want to see round 3 of the Bulldogs Rockets? I do.
Nobody.
I'm just
everybody
concerned,
does, yeah.
and I talked about just a couple minutes ago, I'm concerned about the Rockets traveling 12 hours for a 4 p.m. game.
Yeah.
That's 3 p.m. their time. That's what concerns me. If it was an 8 o'clock game, I'm already iffy enough.
Yeah.
But you got to be there by 4. And look, this isn't the pros.
Yeah. They'll probably leave at 1.
Now maybe a lot of y'all could, a lot
o'clock
of Rocket players could get the day before off work.
Hopefully.
And they could probably, get a head start and set up shop. But
start work on your coughs now and call in sick.
yeah, I mean, if you want to compete,
Yeah.
because the Express are a good team. I just think they're not as good as the Rockets. But are they as good as 60% of the Rockets? Probably so.
And I mean, I hate to say this, but they might be playing that game. Hey, we know they got to travel 12 hours, so let's start as soon as we can.
So just to have a little bit of fun for the 15 people who are still watching, what do y'all think of the Kawhi Leonard trade?
Whew.
I know we're talking a little bit out of the semi-pro, but
This is where Cross Sports Network is going to go after the season. So yeah, we're gonna venture out.
Who's going to make it out of the Impact? I think Ryan, not to bounce all over the page, but I say Thunder. I think the Thunder are just too proven in the playoffs of the GDFL.
Aren't the Outlaws 2-0 versus the Thunder?
They are, but I think it's tough to beat a team. The more times you play a team,
that's right.
If 2 teams play 10 times, unless there's just a huge disparity in the talent, that other team's going to start picking up. It's just why the NBA, we start talking about the NBA final, the NBA.
Yeah.
That's why the finals and the NBA playoffs are so interesting because, okay, you play a game twice. Well, guess what? You got to play them a third time.
Yeah.
And you can't change what you do faster than they can figure out what you're good at.
You're right.
But Kawhi Leonard I want to talk about this a little. Kawhi Leonard to the Thunder, to the Raptors, that's me taking that the Raptors are giving up. The Raptors know they can't win the playoffs now. They didn't want to be under DeRozan's contract.
Well, let me stop you right there. By simply from that trade, the Raptors go from 60-1 to going to the NBA Finals or winning the NBA Finals to a 20-20 2-1. So Vegas has them doing
So,
well.
yes, absolutely. It helped now. Kawhi Leonard, you improve a good defensive team.
Yeah.
You get rid of something that hasn't really worked in DeRozan.
Yeah.
And you replace it with Leonard, but Leonard's gone after this year. Leonard, in my opinion, does not want to be in Toronto. Danny Green is probably gone. Then you're stuck with Kawhi Leonard and a bunch, or not Kawhi Leonard, you're stuck with Kyle Lowry and a bunch of cap space, but nobody but Drake wants to go to Toronto.
So
But
let me give you my
San
thoughts on
Antonio,
that.
by the other hand,
Oh,
they get a good player in DeRozan. He's locked in for a couple years.
And he's
and
mad.
The other kid they got, the 7-foot guy,
Yeah.
that's a Pop. That's somebody Pop loves. A
Mm-hmm.
7-foot guy who's used to playing by FIBA rules. Pop loves it.
Yeah, and they what's his name? He is mad. Like he is upset. So he is going to go
Kawhi
out there
Leonard
and
could
ball
sit out.
all year. Yeah.
And it's the NBA. They're going. He could sit out this entire year, and the Lakers would still sign. Where the NBA, NFL, if Le'Veon sat out the entire year, nobody would want anything to do with him. This is the NBA. Players have 90% of the leverage in the NBA. He could sit out as long as he wants, and the Lakers are still going to sign him.
Yeah, and let me ask you this question, Mila. We're going to definitely dive into this tomorrow on the RTF Sports Talk Show. Tune in live on YouTube at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. But do you think San Antonio sent Leonard to a team that is total opposite of where he wants to be,
Yes.
just to prove a
Yes,
point?
out of spite.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
just be like, hey, you know what? You screwed us over. Here you go.
Absolutely. Send him out of
And
spite.
enjoying losing.
Wanted to say, hey, you want to go to sunny LA where the family is and where there's a
Yeah.
decent building team. We're going to send you to the cold north. We're going to send you out of the country.
Yeah.
And
But they are still probably the favorite in the East, to be
Who?
honest. The Toronto.
no,
Yeah.
they couldn't compete with Boston.
Yeah, they could.
Boston is so talented. They're going to return Kyrie back. They're bringing back Gordon Hayward.
They're going to trade Kyrie.
Well, they might, but even then, you trade Kyrie, you're going to get something substantially better.
Hopefully.
So I'm just saying, I actually wish they would trade Kyrie and try to bring in some kind of big, because I think Terry Rozier, I know that Marcus
Yeah.
Smart's gone, but I think Terry Rozier would be serviceable. You bring in Gordon Hayward, who is Brad Stevens type of player.
They said the Raptors, I can't say the first name, but Carter there says that the Raptors aren't dumb. They are smart, and they're going to trade Kawhi for some
Well, the
talent.
only problem is
I
you
don't know.
can't now you can't trade Kawhi for a little bit. You got to wait till like December.
Is
Because
there
you
some
can't
type
just
of rule?
trade for a player and then turn around and trade him again.
Is that a rule in
Yeah, there's
in
some
the
kind. There's a rule against that. I'm not exactly, but yeah, I think it's December or it's right before the trade deadline.
Okay, so
can't-
either way, say they're 10
But-
games below
so-
500. I mean, they
But for
trade
LA,
Kawhi.
why would you do that? Why would you give up all your young talent when the guy's coming next year? And if you're LA, you're not winning this year.
Well, if I remember, I read an article somewhere that says he wants to go to LA Clippers, not the Lakers. Like
He wants
he
to go
doesn't.
to LA. I mean,
he-
okay, so it remains with the Clippers.
He doesn't
Why
want to
do
be
you
a second
give up-
fiddle.
Why do you give up your youth and your future and
I don't know
your
who the Clippers
future
have, so
stepping
I
stones
can't answer that question.
when you could easily sign him?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, his contract is done at the end of the year, so if the Raptors are smart, they will try to
And
get
that may
something
very
out of
well
him.
be the
Yeah.
Raptors' plan to ship him out to LA and try to get
ball.
Lonzo Ball. Which talk about could we send LeVar away?
That would be
Lonzo
fantastic.
Ball. They might try to get Kuzma. They might try to get Brandon Ingram. So
Plot twist: LeBron James traded for Kawhi.
well, that can't even happen. I mean, even if that was LeBron's got that trade clause on lock. All right, so I found out something. I just got a bit of news. Not nothing major. I'm just seeing if I can, if I can
Still
trust
breaking
it.
news.
Yeah,
Breaking
just
news.
trying to source it. So I'm trying to see if I can drop this.
Raptors are letting everybody go but Drake. I mean, like if they let everybody go except for Drake, Drake might jump ship too. I mean, you see him in what UK stuff and
Well, he's in Tennessee. Drake was just in Tennessee not too long ago.
so
So I've stumbled upon, use that term lightly, a link. I don't think it's bad. I mean, I actually like it, but I just don't think it's realistic. Hopefully I can hold on to the few viewers I got left if I can drop this. Like I said, the only reason I think it'd be somewhat interesting because we were just talking about it in the GDFL. But
Lucius says Canada won't let LeVar Ball in the country.
hey, I like LeVar Ball. LeVar Ball as a person, I think it'd be fun. I think he's a great dad. I think he'd be a cool friend to like have a beer with. But if you run a team, you can't. I can't have nothing to do with that.
Hey, but he has. Think about this: the big baller brand. Nobody knew nothing about that until his son made it to the NBA, and they were blasting it on ESPN. He was bringing them on ESPN Sports Center. He was wearing the BBB shirts and the shoes and whatever. We were talking about the $150 shoes.
All right, so
Best
I got
promoter
this
out
link,
there.
and I'm looking at it here. So apparently, there's a GoFundMe for the Huntsville Rockets to get to Erie,
Okay.
and they're winning $10,000
Ouch.
to apparently fly. No, I don't know. I don't know what it's for, but it's $10,000. And maybe you shoot for 10,000. If you get 3,000, then that's great. Look, I like this, but this doesn't change what I initially said. Let's say somebody donates the whole 10 grand right now. Let's just say Cross Sports Network had it like that. Doesn't change how you're going to get there in a timely manner. Because that $10,000 or even $20,000 isn't enough to allow everybody to take off work on Friday. It isn't enough to fly first class or to rent a jet and be able to leave at 5 a.m. and get there at 8 a.m. It's still not enough. So my question is, the problem with the Huntsville Rockets game is the game's at 4.
Mm-hmm.
That's my concern. So I don't know.
Well, I just went to Greyhound.com here, and a bus ticket from Greyhound from Huntsville to Erie is only $100.
A bus ticket?
Yeah. So maybe they are trying to fly up like up there.
But you said Greyhound. That's public transportation, right? Like, you can't stop anyone else from getting on that bus.
Well, if you rent out a whole bus, like side job here, like I work through a company that helps them on their computer systems and stuff like that. But either way, if you order 25 tickets or more, they give you the whole bus. So it is.
Oh, really?
So it's basically your bus to travel up there.
It's $100 a ticket.
Yeah. So I mean, if you take 25 people, that's $2,500.
Also, if you got good numbers, you can rent a bus through like Miller Transportation, and it comes out to like $35 a person.
Yeah. Well, I just
Right. No,
yeah,
I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, if
So-
it works for them, it works for them. I'm still trying to figure out how they navigate this time system.
Yeah.
How they navigate from having to be somewhere that's 12 hours away, that's a half a day's travel
The
for
only
a game.
the only way they'll be able to physically do it, leave at midnight Eastern time. It's a 12-hour trip, so that gets
Get
them
there
there.
at noon.
Yeah, that gets them there about like 11 or be 11 o'clock because you lose that, or be 1 o'clock like our time.
Ryan
So-
Stark says the private charter plane costs 20 grand, so that's clearly not their go. Maybe it's a used charter,
Yeah.
which
Maybe it's on the operation
look,
repo.
I'm not trying to make light of a situation here, but I have a feeling a used bus caused the Spartans to break down. You don't want a used plane,
No.
so you got to go first class or don't go at all.
We don't need a Marshall type thing going on. No pun intended.
Oh, come on. Now you just took it to a dark place.
Hey.
We were trying to be friendly. We were talking about the Spartans breaking down, and you're talking about something that... Oh, my.
Hey, duct tape.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm excited about next week's show. We get into the playoffs.
So why don't we try to help Huntsville out and share that GoFundMe on the page?
I can do that. try to help out. Hey, if you got a couple bucks, donate it to the Rockets.
Donate to us too.
Yeah, that too. Hey, I'm gonna call her right now. Lucci, let's see if I can get you to vouch me on this. Ricky puts up money. Because if the
Huntsville
Rockets
Rockets?
win,
Yeah.
they're the highest seed left. That means they get to host
Mm-hmm.
the Rockets. If they lose, he then has to put up his own money to get to Erie.
Oh.
So why not just say, for example, instead of him putting up 10 grand for his own bus or 5 grand for his own bus, maybe he throws $1,000 the Rockets' way. I'm just saying.
Hey.
Hey, if anybody's going to do it, it'd probably be Ricky.
We probably shouldn't say that on air. That the commissioner might shut that down, huh?
I mean, hey, it's a publicly funded.
True.
I mean, anybody
True.
can put it on
Yeah.
there. The commissioner himself could put it on there. I don't know. You're right, though. The way that it probably said it, he probably got upset. All right. Well, I think that will be about it for this show. I'm excited to come back in next week. Talk playoffs, talk matchup. Hopefully, we'll have some clear answers, some things develop. By that point, we'll be down to 4 teams. And I don't know what those faces are for, Lucci. But it'll be down to about 4 teams in the GDFL playoffs. I'm calling it now. The 4 teams by then will be the Express versus the Dogs. Outlaws Thunder. We're out. That's the evil Ricky thinking, probably.